We were in a strange situation because this film was different. It wasn't like other films that were being made. I mean, it kind of fulfilled the obligations of the genre, but also, definitely functioned on another sort of bizarre level. So what we decided to do was show it to Barry Diller, without kind of going through all the strata of executives, because he had been involved, and so that was sort of the big crapshoot. And he saw the movie with Larry Gordon, Scott Rudin. I don't remember who was there, but and he came out and he said to Cronenberg, I think you've made a masterpiece. So then we just, we screened it for audiences.
I mean, first, I guess if we're talking about previews, my feelings about the preview process probably wouldn't want to be published on a studio DVD. You can learn a lot from previews, but quite often they exist to tell the studio executives what they want to hear, or relieve them of making responsibilities which might cause their job to be in jeopardy and their ass to be burned. On the other hand, the previews for The Fly went extremely well.
You always learn something. I mean, there was the scene where he's just falling apart, and and she goes to hug him, which is just the biggest moment in the whole film. And the first time we saw that with an audience, Cronenberg and I just kind of looked at each other like, wow, we didn't even know that was a big moment. So it's always really informative.
We previewed twice at the old Uptown in Toronto. Mel was there. It was raining. I know that because I spent most of the time in the alley outside. Why did I spend most of the time in the alley? Because I was incredibly nervous. I can't sit in a preview. I've never been able to do it. I can't do it, and I won't be able to do it anytime in the future. I just can't do it. But that did give me the opportunity of seeing what happened in the lobby. Several people left. One person was ill. One young man who must have been 17 or 18 came out, looked at me very intensely and said, "Are you involved with this movie?" And I said, "Possibly." And he said, "People shouldn't be allowed to make movies like this." Meanwhile, in the auditorium, they were tearing the seats out. They were yelling and screaming and talking to the screen. It was like a Times Square screening,
We had one reel that really kind of sailed over the top. Jeff's character is, wants to do sort of a test run on fusing two entities from two pods, and he puts a cat in one and a monkey in the other, and they kind of end up being a cat monkey that pops out. It's this kind of horrible kind of freakish thing that's obviously in pain and doesn't quite know how to move, and he beats it to death with a lead pipe and goes up on the roof and is screaming because his life has just turned to this horrible nightmare, and an arm pops out of his side, and he falls down falls off the roof and is climbing up a building. It's this was like really the kind of full force wham, we're into the dark stuff.
Go crazy. Okay, everybody hit the bar. Hit the box. Yeah, let's have some blood, guys. And take that, Jim, you bastard. I'd say cut.
The Monkey Cat was, I think, a sequence that suffered a number of ills. For me, as the effects guy, unfortunately, we wound up shooting it very quickly at the end of the day when everybody was really tired, and none of the setups were what I wanted. I was like kind of grumbling through the entire shoot, going, "We should be saving this for another day," but couldn't do that. And it was another pity of it that I really look back on. I know Stefan does as well. Was with the makeup. That's the scene where we did one version of makeup that's not seen in the film at all now, and it was actually both our favorites.
413, take 2, pick up.
Because it had a lot of, I don't know, there's sort of a Jekyll and Hyde quality to the point in the makeup. It wound up being a sequence that, for the character, I didn't think worked as well either, because he's sort of like, you didn't really get why he was being so cruel to these animals and stuff after you'd seen him being much more sympathetic and in pain about what he'd done to the baboon. Which was originally going to be a rhesus monkey. The monkey cat was originally a monkey cat, and then it turned into a baboon cat somewhere along the production. We'd done it, sculpted it, it was all together. And so we had to lop the head off and do a whole new sculpture and mechanics for it and everything else.
Yeah, I remember, that's right. I remember it got, like The Exorcist, it got, every time you see it, it gets weirder and more horrifying, and these sort of set pieces where things happen. Yeah, I do remember that. What I really remember is that little middle section where they built a, not out of brick, but whatever it is, the material, a faux brick wall, like a story or so high, on an angle like that. And, with a couple of window frames in it on a sound stage, and then the camera would be like that and follow me, and I had to go to the top of this thing, and in order to slip down the thing, I had this suit on. It was a big suit, and it's kind of sticky, it's rubber, so in order to slide down this thing, they had to jelly me all up with like KY jelly, actually. Did he tell you this? And it took like tube after tube. They would just tuck, and then smear it all over me, and I go to the top of this thing, and action. I'm falling, and then take a big kind of amusement park ride slide down this thing, and then land, boom, on this tin corrugated roof, and bang, and did that a few times. It was fun, but it was also a little like, gee, what, and quit show business? It was like, I guess this is adult, entertainment in some way. And then they cut it out. Yeah, KY jelly.
Slide down fast. They got it. That kind of thing. You might be able to work it down a bit more. Stay on the ball with your feet. Your hand, spread your knees out to the side. get myself down to the end.
Just a hernia bulge, Stefan?
Yeah. Gone?
Take it off.
Anything in that bulge to start with? Nothing. Guy, nothing.
Okay, hold it. Yeah.
Absolutely zero. Okay, action, Jeff. And now bulge. Good dramatic hit, come on.
There's a sequence, I think it's after the tail end of the monkey cat sequence, where Brundlefly climbs up onto the roof. He's caught on one of the rooftops, and out of his side there's a bulge, and he feels a pain, and this strange, twisty little insect leg starts breaking free.
Yeah, hold on to the chain if you can.
Higher, guy.
Okay, Guy, you can start. Bring your hand up, your right hand, but keep it tight to your body.
Yeah. Down.
Lower to your body. Oh, you gotta tilt. You gotta tilt down and keep that in frame. You must keep that in frame.
Lift it higher. Lift it higher.
Keep it in frame.
Lift it all the way up.
You've got to go with it, but it's got to come up because we're going to see a lot of stuff we don't want to see. That's it. Now tilt up with it. Just gently ease it up. Thank you.
Can you lift your hand higher even?
Okay, now your right hand can come around and feel the base of it, but not over that part of your body, over your belly. That's it. Keep it tight to your body. Come close to it. Okay, cut.
And he's just so horrified at it, he actually gnaws this appendage off.
Okay, now you get down to bite it. Okay, now Kenny's going to go back up.
We've got more to bite up.
Okay, he's going to bite more, sorry.
Bite his teeth out.
Okay, keep going.
Got it? Yeah.
Look at your wound now.
Are we up on the wound or the...
Yeah, no, on his face. Now tilt up with his face, please. Tilt up higher, please. Okay, Jeff, you can tilt your head back in English. Way back, way back. And now roll over. Huh? Cut. I said roll over.
Thank you very much, everybody.
It's quite graphic and quite strong, but I thought it had a real great bizarre quality to what was going on with the character.
And when we screened it, aside from being a little too intense for some people, this one woman had thrown up. She made it to the bathroom and everything, but she had thrown up, and it taught us a very valuable lesson, which was we were basically telling a story where the protagonist on some level becomes the antagonist, and we had to keep the audience sort of locked in to the tragedy that this guy was going through. And if you beat an animal, even a cat monkey, to death with a lead pipe, your audience is no longer interested in your problems. I mean, the audience is, it's just like, this is too much. Whether it was Brundle's character that they kind of detached from, or the film that they detached from kind of going for this real kind of like violent nightmarish screeching kind of thing. They just weren't the audience was not invested in the film anymore, and it just never the rest of the film didn't play as well. It was just obvious that the film was a better film for an audience without that stuff.
Will be tail slanted.
Oh,
Rolling.
Rolling.
Tail split.
Speed.
You know what I didn't like at the time? Now that I remember it, it probably could be fine now. I'm not as involved, but I was emotionally involved. And at one point, I strongly lobbied with David. I said, don't let her wind up with Stathis. I don't want to see her after my death. I don't want to think that this was just an interlude, and she wound up. Now, maybe in the adult world, that doesn't really diminish our relationship, which always in the movie would have been depicted, I suppose, as something special, real, romantic, deep, interesting, but I didn't want her to wind up with Stathis Borans.
Action.
It's okay. I'm here. Everything's okay.
It was that dream again. I was having sex with baby.
This baby's mine, remember? Yours and mine. The worst thing that could possibly happen is it'll look more like me than you.
Yeah. I'm okay now. I remember. I remember strongly feeling like that should not be the ending. I think I was very, very sure that it should end the way that it does now end.
I remember all during it, and you're what? Really? You're including it? Don't even, why would you test that? No, don't. Well, you tested it last night? How did, oh, good, right. Of course they didn't want to, and I had I rehearsed my whole speech, why it was wrong, and I was very involved.
Camera 199, slate 453, take 2.
That's all? Ready.
Oh, no. Oh, God.
It's okay.
It was that dream again. I was having sex, baby.
It's okay. There's no baby. There's no baby. Everything's okay.
Yeah. I'm okay now. It's okay.
That sequence was handled by John Berg, doing the stop motion for it. And I think there was a pretty strong awareness that it was a big maybe. The Butterfly Baby was a big maybe sequence from the start. And I can only assume that was cut for a couple of reasons. One is stop motion, and it just didn't fit with the reality of the rest of the movie. And also, when she blows his head off, the movie's over. You're in the most tragic, powerful moment of the picture, and I think that was, brilliant that David chose to leave the audience there.
That was something that I wanted. That was something I wanted. I thought it would be an interesting way to end it. Instead of showing the dark side of, the fly with the kind of mutant fly mixture, it was this sort of beautiful little fairy-like cherub that was just sort of, came out of this larva and flew away in a very kind of lyrical way. But I think I thought it would be an interesting way to end the movie. Cronenberg didn't like it. I got to say, I don't think anybody liked it. I thought, and on seeing the execution, I thought it was interesting, but I was totally fine with deferring to everybody else.
But there's stuff in films you just have to try, because who knows? It could have been a really memorable moment. You just never know till you push things to that level.
And I think we even shot a version where I wake up from a nightmare alone in a bed. And then you see, as I lay back down, you see that I'm pregnant, and then I have the butterfly dream. So I think I liked that, actually. But I think the reason it didn't end up with that was partly because the butterfly never looked great. You know, that would have had to look very not funny. You know, it had to look really very good. But it was a lovely idea, and I liked that ending.
Cut.
Post-production did, in fact, differ considerably on The Fly from other films I'd done with David, and it wasn't because it was, well, perhaps it was, yeah, I guess it was, because it was a major studio picture. We had an awful schedule. It was the hardest picture I've ever worked on. We worked hours and hours and hours. It was a total nightmare. I think we were working 20 hours a day, and there were a lot of us. Huge sound crew, large picture crew. We were all working in the same place. We had a weight room set up. We had a common room where we ate donuts. We were there all the time. I think I showed David the first cut in March, and we started to mix at Twickenham in England on the 28th of June.
Now try this teleported half.
Oh, are you serious? A monkey just came apart in there.
Baboon. Heat.
Oh. It tastes funny.
Funny how?
It tastes synthetic.
Mm-hmm.
So what have we proved?
Computers are dumb. They only know what you tell them. They have no sense of poetry. Life is poetry. Even if it's steak is poetry. computer is giving us its interpretation of a steak. It's translating it for us. It's rethinking it rather than reproducing it, and something is getting lost in the translation.
Me. I'm lost.
The ghost in the machine, life essence, soul. And I know what you're going to say. You're going to say, but a steak is dead. Sure, a steak is dead, but it's dead life.
I don't think I was going to say that.
No, it's what you've already said. The flesh. It should make the computer crazy, like those old ladies pinching babies. But it doesn't, not yet. I haven't taught the computer to be made crazy by the flesh.
So that would be April, May, and a bit of June to do the whole cut on the picture. And it was quite a complicated picture with a lot of special effects, a lot of computer screen stuff, and that was pretty early on in that kind of thing. And it wasn't, I had to actually cut it, you know, cut little bits out of it so it would work faster on the screen. And it was, if you were doing that at 3 o'clock in the morning, it was pretty intense. I actually threw my assistant splicer through the wall at one point, right through the drywall. It was high intensity, high pressure. It took several years off our lives. But there were a lot of us working on it. A lot of people came to England for the mix at their own expense because we'd been working so hard, so closely together. It was like a family. Everybody was very involved emotionally in the project.
There is a limit, even to the imagination.
Human teleportation, molecular decimation, breakdown, and reformation is inherently purging.
Where our greatest creations meet our deepest fears.
Something went wrong, Seth. When you went through, something went wrong.
You are about to go beyond that limit.
Those weird hairs that were growing out of your back, I had them analyzed. They were definitely not human.
I want to know what's going on. You're afraid to be destroyed and recreated, aren't you?
You're changing, Seth. Everything about you is changing.
What's happening to me? Am I dying?
Oh, no.
A fly got into the transmitter pod with me that first time when I was alone.
Don't go back to him. It could be contagious.
I'm afraid!
Don't be afraid.
No. Be afraid. Be very afraid.
Help me. Please, help me.
The Fly, rated R. Starts Friday, August 15th at theaters everywhere.
Again, I was apprehensive because Cronenberg writes very differently than I. I'm a rather florid writer. Some might even say purple prose, but I believe you're writing for people who can't necessarily visualize, so you have to really paint the pictures for them. So it's very florid. Cronenberg's script is very lean and terse because he's got it all up in his head and he knows, I guess, what he's shooting. And so some of the resonance there, I think when I first read his script, and of course there was also that sort of, I'm being thrown off this movie, and so you have that sort of feeling. But when I saw the film and I saw how it had come around, I said, well, this is brilliant, and I'm delighted to have my name on it.
Yeah, I've seen it several times since, and I think it plays very well, and it's very, strangely enough, very sweet, sad love story. It's just that one of the people in the love story is wearing a fly suit.
The first screening that I saw of The Fly, when it was just before it was released, I was totally shocked because I didn't realize that we were working on a love story. I thought we were working on a horror movie, and it was really a love story, and it was quite nice. I liked that.
I found it difficult to watch a bit first. I find his movies difficult to watch sometimes. I mean, there's a kind of real emotional discomfort, that I see in the characters sometimes. And I'm not a great watcher of horror movies anyway. And I find these more horrific for the reality of the relationships a lot of the time.
I remember when the movie first came out, you know, because I like to do this, but it was particularly fun with this. And I think with Gina, we found ourselves doing publicity in New York and went to Times Square. And on the first weekend, and it was, you know, a hit. It was, you know, there was full theater and a very enthusiastic audience, and we stood in the back. Geez, that was fun.
It's really fun to see movies with an audience, especially if they're going to have audible reactions. And it was just so much fun. We walked in. After it started, we went in and stood in the back, and we were like, no, don't go in there. It was just great. It was really fun.
People like that movie.
I've never seen the film. Obviously, deep down inside, the memory is obviously triggered by something of such a great tragic loss that I imagine by seeing the film that will just, you know, replay the memory for me. I also don't think I want to see the film because I had such a picture of what it was from our script that I know that I'll be disappointed, and I'm sure David's made a fantastic movie, which obviously this DVD is, so, you know, watch the movie, it's great. But I'm sure the things we had planned were quite different, and I suppose what I want to do is keep that vision in my mind. You know, I've got that movie, it's playing in my mind, I can see the movie, I can feel it, and maybe if I saw it, it would cloud that.
I think story-wise, The Fly stands up fairly well today. It's from a technical point of view, and in terms of all the computers, I look at what we did then, which then was like kind of state-of-the-art, and I go, oh my gosh, it's like very archaic. But I think as a story, it still stands up.
Honestly, it was just a very, it was a film where everybody was just all about making the film. I mean, Cronenberg and I certainly had our disagreements, but it was never, ever about ego. I mean, on any level. And it was always, you know, he's a very articulate guy. And we always kind of knew what we were disagreeing on. It was a great collaboration, and because it was like a real, you know, it was certainly a charged one, but, you know, I mean, he's a great director.